want of the world is the want of men. Men who will not be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole. Men who will stand for the right, though the heavens fall.
In the days of Ellen White, many were willing to stand up and make bold statements about their beliefs. This was an era of civil war, when states all took a stand for or against slavery. Ellen White saw the beginning of segregation laws and the women's movements, and could confidently claim she lived in a time of activism.
Fast forward to the 21st century, and we too are experiencing an era of social upheaval. Pandemics, restrictions, gender identity, abortion, climate change, racism, mental health, injustice, war and feminism are plastered across our screens each night. It seems everyone is passionate about something. Many today, especially our youth, are gripped by the desire to protest inequalities and speak out for the rights of those in need. But while this may seem a modern trend, 200 years earlier, Ellen White was doing much the same.
After leaving the established Society of America for the new Australian colonies, Ellen found the fledgling states in especially poor condition. Arriving in Melbourne during the financial decline, government figures report that up to 10,000 children in the city alone were neglected and homeless. Mothers reported giving up their babies to baby farms out of sheer desperation, hoping they'd be cared for enough to survive infancy. The rich colonists regarded the situation as God's judgment visited upon the working class for rejecting him, leaving many to have a cruel image of God.
In this country I have found destitution and poverty everywhere, and had not means to relieve the distressed, to clothe the naked, to take the youth who are too poor to help themselves and place them in schools, and to help the churches in building houses of worship. We should have left this field long ago, for it would be useless to attempt to do anything hampered on every side.
But despite her frustration, Ellen's compassion won out. Though she felt helpless, her strong beliefs about helping those in poverty led her to give what she had, $1,000 to help some students get an education, and a further $2,000 to help other individuals in distress.
After establishing herself at Sunnyside, Ellen set about ensuring their self-sufficiency. She had lived through many periods of scarcity, and setting up her extensive orchard of around 500 fruit trees ensured there was plenty of food to go around. Parcels of food were always leaving Sunnyside, bound for the tables of the sick and starving. As her secretaries recorded in private letters, everyone was welcome to take of her produce, and this was especially important to the homeless, of which there were many in those days. But poverty wasn't the only cause close to her heart. Ellen was especially vocal about the treatment of others. Having lived through the Civil War, she knew well how poorly men could treat one another and resolved to welcome everyone. She comments,
It has become fashionable to look down on the poor and upon the colored race in particular. But Jesus, the Master, was poor, and he sympathizes with the poor, the discarded, the oppressed, and declares that every insult shown to them is as if shown to himself. You have no license from God to exclude the colored people from your places of worship. Treat them as Christ's property, which they are, just as much as yourselves.
When we think of the amazing work that Ellen did in Australia and her love for its people, we often forget that she never intended to come here. When called, she was uncertain about coming, for she knew that she was needed in America. The leaders of the time were making crucial decisions about the church's identity and future, and Ellen's bold, truthful and compassionate statements made many feel uneasy, and to have her far away eased their worries. Thankfully, God made incredible things come from the move, and Ellen grew to love this country and the Pacific. But we should never forget that Ellen came here because her passion refused to let her be quiet. Today, Adventists all across the globe are tasked with continuing this special work of being a force of kindness and truth in a world full of social change. This is a big task, but we are not left without advice on how to achieve this.
Many feel it would be a great privilege to visit the scenes of Christ's life on earth, to walk where he trod, to look upon the lake beside which he loved to teach, and the hills and valleys on which his eyes so often rested. But we need not go to Nazareth, to Capernaum, or to Bethany in order to walk in the steps of Jesus. We shall find his footprints beside the sickbed, in the hovels of poverty, in the crowded alleys of the great city, and in every place where there are human hearts in need of consolation. In doing as Jesus did on earth, we shall walk in his steps.